Hector, the Prince of Troy.
Introduction. Welcome to English Listening Avenue, where learning English becomes an adventure through stories from history, mythology, and the lives of legendary people. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a new episode. In today's episode, we continue our fascinating journey into the world of the Iliad, one of the oldest and most powerful epics ever written. This story comes from ancient Greece, over 2,700 years ago, yet it still inspires readers and listeners today. In Episode 1, we discovered how a simple golden apple led to a bitter rivalry among goddesses, and how that rivalry sparked the Trojan War. In Episode 2, we met Achilles, the strongest warrior among the Greeks, and saw how his rage and pride changed the course of the battle. But today, we shift our focus to the other side, to the great city of Troy. And at the heart of Troy stands a hero like no other, Hector, the eldest prince of the Trojan royal family. He is not just a brave warrior, he is a man of duty, of deep emotion, and of honor. Hector is loved by his people, respected by his enemies, and remembered through time as the soul of Troy's resistance. This episode is about courage in the face of certain danger, about love for family, and about choosing responsibility over personal safety. As you listen, try to focus on the words, the emotions, and the simple but powerful language used to tell this story. Pause when needed, repeat sentences, and enjoy every moment of your learning. The hero of Troy. Long ago, in the heart of a great and powerful city called Troy, there lived a man named Hector. He was not just a soldier, he was not just a prince. Hector was a hero, a symbol of hope for his people, and the beating heart of Troy. Troy was under attack by the Greeks. For 9 long years, the Greek armies had camped outside the city walls, trying to break in. But the walls of Troy were strong, and inside those walls stood Hector, ready to defend his home, his people, and his family. Hector's background. Hector was the eldest son of King Priam and Queen Hecuba. He was the crown prince of Troy, which meant that one day he would become king. But Hector was more than just a future king. He was also a husband, a father, a brother, and a friend. His wife's name was Andromache, and they had a small child together, a baby boy named Astyanax. Hector loved his family deeply. In many ways, they were the reason he fought so bravely. He was also the brother of Paris, the prince who had brought Helen to Troy, the event that started the war. While Paris was handsome and charming, Hector was brave and serious. Paris followed his heart. Hector followed his duty. A warrior of honor. Every day, Hector wore his shining armor, picked up his sharp spear, and rode out onto the battlefield to face the Greek warriors. The people of Troy would climb the towers of their walls to watch him fight. They cheered for him. They believed in him. He never showed fear. Even when he was tired or wounded, he stood tall and strong. He didn't fight because he loved war. He fought because he loved peace and wanted to protect it. Hector was a man of honor. He didn't just fight to win, he fought the right way. He respected his enemies, even when they didn't respect him. He followed rules. He showed mercy. He acted with dignity and nobility. Inside the city walls. When Hector wasn't fighting, he spent time inside the city, walking among the people. Children ran to greet him. Elders gave him blessings. He stopped to speak with soldiers, farmers, and mothers. He gave them strength with his words and comfort with his presence. Sometimes he would climb the tall towers of Troy
and look at the battlefield. He could see the Greek ships far away on the beach. He knew that the war would not end soon, but still, he stood strong, like a mountain that cannot be moved by wind or rain.
A quiet reflection. One evening, Hector walked along the wall, thinking to himself. "What is a hero?" he whispered. "Is it someone who never fears, or someone who feels fear but still stands firm? I am just a man, but as long as Troy needs me, I will be more than a man. I will be their shield." These words were never written down, but we imagine them because Hector's strength came not just from his body, it came from his heart.
The day of the duel. The war between the Greeks and Trojans had reached a dangerous point. Soldiers from both sides were tired, wounded, and longing for peace. But there was no end in sight. And then, one day, a powerful Greek warrior came forward with a bold challenge. His name was Ajax, the strongest man in the Greek army after Achilles. He was a giant of a man, holding a heavy shield and a long spear. His voice echoed across the battlefield. "I call upon the bravest warrior of Troy," Ajax shouted. "Let one man face me in single combat. No army, no tricks, just honor." The Greek soldiers roared. The Trojans stood silent. Who would accept this challenge? Who would step forward?
Hector accepts the challenge. From the gates of Troy, one man began to walk. His armor shined like gold. His eyes were calm and brave. It was Hector. He looked at the Trojan soldiers and said, "If I do not go, who will? I fight not for glory, but for peace. May the gods decide the outcome." The gates opened. Hector stepped out, alone. On the other side, Ajax waited. The two warriors stood face to face, strong, proud, and ready. Around them, both armies watched in silence. The battle begins. The duel began. Hector threw his spear first. It struck Ajax's shield, but did not break it. Ajax replied with his own spear. It tore through Hector's shield, but Hector stepped back just in time. Then they picked up stones, heavy and sharp. Each stone flew through the air with force. Dust and sweat filled the sky, but neither warrior would fall. Hour after hour passed. They were equally matched, not just in strength, but in honor. A fight without hate. This duel was different from other battles. It was not full of anger or cruelty. It was a fight between two men who respected each other. A test of skill and bravery, not hatred. Finally, as the sun began to fall, the duel was stopped. Messengers from both sides ran forward and called for peace, at least for the day. Both Hector and Ajax lowered their weapons. They looked at each other with respect. Ajax said, "You are a great warrior, Hector." Hector replied, "And you fight with the heart of a lion." As a sign of peace, they exchanged gifts. Ajax gave Hector a sword. Hector gave Ajax a beautiful belt. Then they returned to their camps.
What this meant for Troy. Back in the city, the people cheered. Hector had shown courage once again. He had stood tall before the strongest of the Greeks. Even though the duel ended without a winner, honor had been won. The children of Troy would speak of that day for years.
the day their prince faced a giant and walked back with his head held high. For Hector, it was never about victory or pride. It was always about protecting his people, showing dignity, and fighting with honor, even when the world around him was falling apart.
Hector's last stand. The days turned darker for Troy. The Greek army, though weary, was not giving up. Without Achilles, they struggled, but their determination to conquer Troy had not faded. And in the heart of it all stood Hector, the shield of his city, the pride of his people. But far away from the battlefield, something was changing. Achilles, the fiercest Greek warrior, had returned. His best friend, Patroclus, had died in battle, wearing Achilles' armor, killed by none other than Hector himself. This tragedy ignited a fire in Achilles. Rage and sorrow filled his soul. Achilles was coming back, not for victory, but for revenge.
The storm before the end. The moment Hector learned that Achilles had returned to battle, a chill passed through him. He had faced many warriors, but Achilles was not just any warrior. He was a force of nature, swift, deadly, and unstoppable. Inside the walls of Troy, King Priam, Hector's father, pleaded, "My son, do not fight him. Stay within the walls. Let the army defend the gates." But Hector could not hide. He replied, "I must face him, father. I took his friend's life. If I stay behind these walls, I will not only lose my honor, but I will also lose myself." He kissed his wife Andromache and embraced his little son one last time. Tears fell from her eyes as she begged him not to go. "If you die, Hector, who will protect us? Who will protect Troy?" But Hector was bound by his duty to fight, to protect, to stand tall even in fear.
The Duel of Fate. As Hector stood outside the gates of Troy, the earth began to shake. Achilles was coming. Clad in shining armor, forged by the gods, Achilles blazed like fire. His eyes burned with fury. His spear was ready. His heart was heavy. The two warriors faced each other, one for honor, the other for revenge. At first, Hector felt fear. He turned and ran. Around the walls of Troy, the two warriors raced 3 times, like a lion chasing a stag. But finally, Hector stopped. He turned to face his fate. "Let us fight, Achilles," Hector called, "but let our bodies be returned to our people, no matter who falls." But Achilles, blinded by grief, refused. "No peace, Hector, not today."
A battle of titans. The duel began, swift and furious. Hector's spear flew first. It struck Achilles' shield, but did not wound him. Then Achilles attacked, fierce, unrelenting. His spear pierced through Hector's armor, the one taken from Patroclus. Hector fell. The hero of Troy lay in the dust. But Achilles' rage had not ended. He tied Hector's body to his chariot and dragged it before the walls of Troy. The city cried. The king, the queen, the people, all wept for their fallen prince. A father's plea. Days passed. Hector's body still lay outside, dishonored. Then, one night, the old king, Priam, heartbroken and brave, walked into the Greek camp alone. He entered Achilles' tent and knelt before him. "I am Hector's father," he said. "I come not as a king, but as a grieving father. Give me back my son." Achilles, struck by the courage and sorrow of the old man, finally saw beyond his rage. He wept. He gently returned Hector's body, and a fragile moment of peace passed between two enemies, united by love, by loss, by humanity.
Hector's funeral. Back in Troy, the people mourned. The city, once proud, was quiet. They built a great pyre and laid Hector upon it. The air filled with the scent of burning wood and prayers. The people whispered his name with love and sorrow. "You died for us, Hector," they said. "You were more than a warrior. You were our heart."
The legacy of Hector. As the flames of Hector's funeral pyre rose into the sky, a heavy silence fell over Troy. The city had lost its greatest son, not just a warrior, but a symbol of courage, loyalty, and love. Troy was still standing, but the heart of its people was broken. Hector had fought not for pride, not for conquest, but for the people behind the walls, his family, his friends, his nation. He was the light in their darkest hours, and though his body lay in ashes, his legacy endured. The name Hector became more than just the name of a man. It became the name of a hero.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the story and want to learn more through inspiring tales from history and mythology, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to English Listening Avenue. New episodes coming soon, including The Fall of Troy and The Journey of Odysseus. Until then, keep your heart brave and your ears open. The story ends, but the learning continues.